Hey all, welcome. It's not necessarily a continuation from where I left off in the first reaction video to one of Cynthia G's recent live streams. It's more of a clarification on my part and on Cynthia G's part as she expresses her disdain for marriage even deeper. There's a sinister force behind why Cynthia G responds to marriage in the way that she does. Whether she's aware of it or not is not what's relevant at this time, but the fact that whoever listens to her is being polluted and will need detoxification at the end of the day. Disclaimer: I have nothing personally negative against Cynthia G as a Black woman, as a human being. I do object to some of her perspectives on family, on marriage. I do respect the fact that she has her own frame of mind, as we are all entitled to. Okay, how we think, how we want to see things, even though it is, yes, greatly influenced by our culture, our history, genetics, etc. My platform comes from a spiritual, mainly Christian perspective, which Cynthia G does not appear to be on board or on plane with. The commentary you will receive today is me assisting any of you who may have experienced moderate to severe confusion as to where Cynthia G is coming from or going with what I feel is dangerous information. As far as the information she is pushing about Black culture or Black men, everybody has their opinion on that. That's not what I'm addressing. That's not something I choose to invest my time, energy, efforts, or opinion on. But it's mainly the part about relationships and marriage. So let's jump right into it.
First of all, let me tell y'all something, because I think that people are rooted in fairy tale. Relationships are not forever. There isn't one relationship dynamic that is forever. Most relationships among people, regardless to who is engaged in it, you can have two men, you can have two women, you can have a dog and a cat, you can have a man and a cat, a woman and a dog, a black man and a white woman and a black man, a black person and any other race. Relationships do not last forever. So at some point, somebody is going to become somebody's baby mama and somebody go become somebody's baby daddy. That does not mean that both the parents don't have to actively raise the child. This is not an issue of baby daddy culture. This is an issue of black male culture mixed with black male worship. We're not going to hold them accountable. We're just going to have kids willy nilly because they're black. There's not going to be any strategy or thought or planning. We're just going to keep birthing them into this environment. That is the problem here. This is not an issue of baby daddy. What does the baby daddy culture have to do with this? Except the fact that you keep having kids with the men who are the most likely to abandon their children. If a man is not even taking care of his children, why are we even saying baby daddy ain't no daddy? Nor are they meant to. That includes marriages. It doesn't. Relationships do not last forever, nor are they meant to. That includes marriages. If there's an expiration date on your life, why would you think that there's not an expiration date on a relationship that you have with another person who also got an expiration date on their life? And that's the only thing that bothers me. The only thing that bothers me is that people talk about these relationships and these unions and these marriages as if they don't end. As if all the kid needs is to be your kids don't even know you married. Kids don't know you married. Kids just simply see their parents in the home. Their parents being together functional is what's driving the relationship and getting the results. It's not because you signed a marital contract. That's not the reason. And the study says that is a misconception. The misconception is because you are in a marriage, you are going to have a committed functional union. That is a misconception. The two people have to make the marriage a functional union. You have to make it that way. Just because you sign a contract, it's a piece of paper that you're literally writing your signature on. That's literally what a marriage is. A marriage is a legal, binding business contract that you have to get a license for before you even get into it. And just because you get into it, it does not mean it's gonna last forever. It don't. You still need to have a plan. And I actually think parents should get together and make a plan for how co-parenting is going to work when they break up. When you break up, what is this co-parenting situation going to look like? Because relationships don't last forever. We can want it to. We can want our relationship to. We can be high on love. We can think, oh my God, this is my forever person. No, somebody can come toe tag your forever person, and then what you gonna do? What are you gonna do? There's too many circumstances in which your forever person can be separated from you. What are you going to do in that situation that nobody is planning for? Because people will get prenuptial agreements to protect their assets, but they're not making these agreements on what they're going to do about these children when the relationship.
Now, right there, you hear Cynthia G discussing relationships and how they don't end. It comes off as her premise is that there's no point to relationships. Her words are often, at least to me, confusing because I want to know, is she suggesting or recommending to her audience? Is she recommending to them that they don't have children at all? Is she recommending that they don't have black children? Is it that they shouldn't have children in marriage or don't have children in a black marriage or union of two black people, a man and a woman? Is it that her audience is wrong or should not get married at all? Avoid marriage in general? Is it that she's against blending families? Or what about if someone in the couple or in the relationship has children from a previous relationship, they should no longer be interested in future relationships because their relationship ended? Should someone who has children already not blend their families with someone else who had children from a previous relationship because there's no hope or point for relationships? Is that what she's saying? Or is she just saying don't get in any sort of relationship, whether married or not married? Just avoid relationships. It's so confusing to me because she does not necessarily pin down or state exactly, clearly, concisely what's her point. Where is she headed? Where is she leading her audience to? Because she kind of used this jumble method of saying things to make herself correct, sort of like when you mix a lie with a truth. It appears as if she's telling half truths because she knows that, yes, as human beings, as living organisms, life comes to an end eventually. She's going to stand on that premise, right? Or that soapbox and say, well, relationships don't last forever. Of course, people know relationships don't last forever. We die, we pass away someday. But then she jumps into the second part of the argument where She pretends as if, oh well, I'm actually talking about divorce, okay, or a breakup in a relationship, because she's really focused on marriage here. If you're not paying attention, she's not necessarily focusing on, let's say, dating, um, cohabitation, or death in in a marriage, or a death in a relationship, one person passing away. She's talking about marriage and the breakup of a marriage, or divorce, the dissolution of a marriage. But she kind of skirts around it, trying to prove a point in very deceptive ways. She cares about black men intentionally, is what the premise of her whole platform is, leaving black women, or abandoning their children, or not even loving their children because of their own lack of self-love. That's the main essence of her talking point. According to statistics, it's about half of marriages that end in divorce. So that means that if half of marriages, so if 100% of people got married and only 50%, or 49 to 51% divorce, then the other half is still together, which means they didn't end. That's what it means. It didn't end. It's still together, likely until death do they part, if they don't get divorced, or unless they are separated. Which, that's not the statistics she's putting out here. She's putting out the statistics for divorce. She continues to talk about, and I don't think you've heard it yet, but she will, continues to bring up the um, year average, the 7 year average that marriages last, 7 to 8 years, according to statistics. She makes it seem like that's how long every relationship lasts. According to statistics, that's not how long every relationship lasts. That's how long marriages last on average that end in divorce. There's a difference between marriages that last that ends in divorce versus marriages that end in someone passing away. The way she plays around with the words and the statistics is she wants you to believe that 100% of marriages only last average 7 years, whereas only 50% end, and the average years of that 50% is 7 years. There are millions of widows and widowers for a reason, and many of them are in their older ages because their marriages last decades, beyond 20 years, and they're still in love, and the man respected the woman and the woman honored the man, and vice versa. But there's nowhere in Cynthia G's live stream or streams you're going to hear about the positive sides, about what's the percentage of the positive, Cynthia. And we always have to realize that just because a couple is married doesn't mean that they stop going through the same life challenges as someone who's not married. A couple who is married but are raising children, are advancing in their careers, have financial burdens at times, are saving for their children's college, reach 25 years, let's say, into the marriage, and the children are leaving home, or etc. Right? Someone who's single can go through the same issues of life. It's just how life progresses generally. And you can also have these issues with, raising children, or children preparing to leave home, or you becoming an empty nester, whether you are married or not married. But according to statistics, it's a much more satisfying, or you have someone to go through it with. You having a companion support to go through it with, who understands, who is compatible with you generationally, to move through it with, if you have at least a healthy situation, relationships. No matter what you choose, life is going to have its ups and downs. Like a roller coaster, it's going to have its dips. But choosing the right person to go through those dips with is what's important. That matters a lot. Then Cynthia G goes on to talk about how relationships don't end. Listen to this.
clearly you're just not smart enough to be here. If you think this is about pushing baby mama culture, then you're just too dumb to be here at the end of the day. You just go get blocked. So, and don't be emailing me, sending me nothing, telling me you want to be unblocked after you got blocked. Because no, if you got blocked, if you got blocked by me, because I rarely block people. But that person is too dumb to be in here. If you think this is about pushing baby mama culture, then you're an idiot. You can be married for 20 years and become somebody's baby mama because relationships don't end, dummy. We need to be planning, especially in situations where children are involved. You should be sitting down with your partner planning on what co-parenting is going to look like when the relationship ends, including marriage.
Now, it's vital to understand what she was just saying. She's talking about what relationships are going to look like when a relationship ends. She didn't say if a relationship ends, she says when the relationship ends. So, in her mind frame, relationships actually end. And trust me, she is not talking about the other parent passing away. Okay, because why would she bring up the phrase, or why would she bring up the topic of co-parenting? She's like, well, let's talk about how we will co-parent when this relationship ends. But not all relationships end with two parents alive. So why would you be talking about co-parenting with the other person? So basically, she just put her foot in her mouth because you can't co-parent with a deceased person. So statistics also show where it depends on where you live and your culture. Some states, the divorce rate could be as high as 65%. There are other states where it can be as low as 50 and 20%. But on average, it's around 50. So it also depends on the demographic of people, where you live, how many people are getting married, what's the type of culture in that particular state. When it comes to family values, tradition, marriage, religion, spirituality, etc.
All you hear is black women saying, well, I want black kids. I want black kids. I just want me a black chocolate baby. I want a black man. I want a black man. I want some black kids. How many different ways? Maybe if they start saying it in different languages, maybe black women would understand it then. Bandits go out of their way. They go out of their way to loudly and obnoxiously talk about how they don't want these kids. I don't understand how black women are not deeply, deeply embarrassed by the amount and the extent to which bandits sit up and publicly declare how much they don't want their kids, even though the data says that black men are more likely, basically, to leave their preference as single mothers because the rate of them being single mothers is higher than it is in the black community. Even though that is the case, you still don't hear them ostracizing women of no color who have multiple children by multiple men, even when they're bandits. Even when she had a bunch of kids by a bandit, they still don't ostracize those women. They still don't say don't date them. They still don't say that they're used goods. They still won't say that they hit the wall because at the end of the day, she white.
I don't know if Cynthia G realizes it or not, or if it's intentional or not, but this is not the first time she would come forward and blanketly shame Black women. She may have a benevolent reason for doing so, but there are other ways of doing it in which perhaps Black women may be able to better accept or hear, or it may come across more palatable. Yes, some messages should come across more blunt and harsh, but in the same way, many people excuse Black men, or they excuse themselves on the premise of the slave syndrome, or trauma from generations passed down to them and from the past, right? So I personally feel similarly with Black women. There are conditional things happening and wiring in their minds as to why they continue to behave a certain way when it comes to the generations of them being abandoned by the race of Black men, generally speaking. Because statistics would show that the rate of divorce is highest amongst Black women of a particular age, of a more mature age. I'm not sure if Cynthia G is not realizing that she has 120 something subscribers. It's not like she has 1,200,000 subscribers. So, the harshness to me seems a bit much, being that she is not necessarily reaching that much of an audience. Yeah, she may be trying to assist women in their emotions, mentality, their perspective, right, in their lives and their communities about their men, the men in their communities. But she's going to have to find a way, in my opinion, and other Black women of an empowerment, or women trying to empower Black women, to reach these Black women. There are Black women out there in survival mode. Okay, many of the Black women who Cynthia G is talking to are more stable or thriving, not necessarily in the mind frame of just trying to make it day to day, having to deal with someone who is giving them money to sustain themselves more than they have on their own. Okay, who are relying on Black fathers, who are relying on uncles, or still living with Black siblings or other male family members. Like, being that up close and personal with Black men, is hard to separate yourself from the reality of it, as Cynthia G is trying to portray. So I see where she's coming from with that point, and trying to, wake a certain demographic of women up. But another reason Black women may be far removed from it is because this is actually a new phenomenon to address the conditioning of our minds as Black women, how deep the channels of chemistry in our brains go. So I do believe that it's going to take time and more effort, whether it's hitting the streets, pounding the pavement, just being out there having campaigns with by people such as Cynthia G, and not only stuck online in front of a camera trying to reach Black women. I don't know if she yet has enough premise to shame Black women in the way she does when she's not doing more. It's not like she has 1,000,000 subscribers, or like I said, 500,000, or that she's actually pounding the pavement, reaching communities, setting up national campaigns to reach Black women, but yet she overtly shames them for their decisions, when many of the decisions of the Black women she's addressing, the women have already had the children. They've already birthed the children. The children are here, but then you're going to continue to shame these women. What are they supposed to do with the children who they already birthed? All they can do is have regrets. All they can do is now scorn the children they currently have. That's all they can do. They can't put the kids back in their womb, Cynthia. So is Cynthia just talking to the women who have not yet had children by Black men? Is that who her audience is supposed to be? Is that who she thinks her audience is? Many of her audience have been hurt, have been traumatized, have had children by Black men, if not most of her audience. And all they can do is really receive shame from the words she's spitting. I have a couple of questions for Cynthia G. My first question is, where does Cynthia G suggest that Black women find the suitable, stable mates, or people that they should create children with or offspring with, when these Black women's maternal instinct kick in? Should they go to other races of men? Is what Cynthia G is that what she's recommending? Because many, if not most women, particularly Black women I'm talking about here, will want to have children. The biological clock will get louder. If you are suggesting other races, are you suggesting staying away from marriage from these other races? Do you recommend any type of black man? Do you think that there are any black men that are suitable mates? Do you feel like they do exist, but they're very rare or um, scarce? Let's say maybe 10% or 25% of black men? Or are you saying totally that these women who want to have children and families someday in a stable relationship avoid black men, avoid marriage, or avoid relationships completely in a romantic way? Are you suggesting that black women, sorry, simply don't have children at all with no one, no type of race, including particularly, especially black men? Or that black women should completely ignore their maternal instinct because of the inevitable demise of relationships? Thirdly, is Cynthia G on board, or would she encourage preferences of black men, let's say lighter, fairer skinned black women, or mixed women, or women of another race completely? Is she recommending that these women continue to have children with black men because of the financial aspect value that they gain from being baby mothers or mothers of the children of black men who have money, who are wealthy, let's say the celebrities, the athletes, etc. My last question is number 4. Does Cynthia G recommend that black women do not teach their children anything of financial, moral, ethical, emotional value, anything positive, spiritual value that would help the black children become greater men, become greater people in society, in culture, for themselves, because these boys come from the seeds, or they are the offspring of black men? Because there are multiple times in Cynthia G's commentary where she suggests that black children, particularly boys, are not going to amount to much, if anything, in society, because they're going to run off with the preference. They're going to run off with, someone of a mixed race or another race, particularly the white race of women, not contribute positively to their own communities, and only degrade and tear down, destroy their own communities because of what they see their forefathers have done, their fathers have done, their uncles, etc., the elders of the community have done to the women and to the infrastructure of the community, not maintain it, tear it down. Is she recommending that the mothers completely abandon any form of education, instruction, guidance, nurturing to these boys that they already have, that are already in existence, that they have birthed already as black women? Because if it's the case, I object. Mothers, teach your children as much as you possibly can in a positive way, whatever knowledge, information you can share with them so that they can have the best life possible, whether it's spiritually, academically, financially, socially, globally, whatever the case may be. Teach them what you know, raise them the best you can, guide them with the best of your ability and with the help of the Almighty. Because in none of what Cynthia G's been saying in any of the commentaries or the lives I've reviewed or reacted to have I heard anything positive about God, that she doesn't mention Him, that she's not leaning on Him, that she's not relying on Him, and that she doesn't encourage her audience to rely on the Almighty or to pray to Him or to our God or to turn, wait on the Lord for your sustenance, for your peace, for discernment, guidance when seeking a mate, when seeking a relationship, going about it the right way. And that's where we go wrong in relationship. Cynthia G comes hard on down on relationship, but she is not talking about why Many relationships fail in the first place. How they started, how what occurred during the dating phases, what occurred during the engagement phase, and then what's going to happen in the marriage. Look at the beginning to know the end. But that's not what she wants to talk about. She just tears down basically and not really builds up. If you're looking for other solutions, if you're looking for other perspectives on the matter, except this just one sided perspective Cynthia G has, and nothing more for you to thrive in your current situation, subscribe to this channel, join this channel, and learn more. There's so much more to come. You will benefit greatly. No hard feelings towards Cynthia G. She calls many women black male worshippers. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it sometimes appears that yes, there are women who seem to have a veil over their eyes, scales on their eyes, something blocking their perspective, their vision of seeing things holistically. I'm not one of those people, okay? I just like to see both sides of it. I know truth when I hear it, I know lies when I hear it. That's all I want to say for now. Till the next one, stay tuned. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.